Well, and it was a litmus test, too, because it was sort of the grassroots evidence of pushback generally against the fracking industry in many states. We already see it here in New York and Pennsylvania, of course. Colorado was a big test. That was a battleground for the energy industry. It went down. It lost.
They were voting on whether or not to push back drilling from 2,500 feet from occupied homes, etc.
It would have been an effective ban because the amount of real estate that you could have drilled on as a result of this thing was shrinking dramatically.
Okay, so that was a win for the energy industry. In Florida, there was another ballot initiative. This one was weird. People were voting in the same question as to whether or not allow offshore drilling, right immediately on the coast of Florida, and indoor vaping. Both the same question. So we don't know. So it passed. But we don't know if people were voting against drilling offshore Florida or voting against vaping indoors. But regardless.
And I think the oil and gas industry executives were indignant over being linked to vapors.
Right. But still, I mean, how much drilling was going to happen immediately offshore in Florida? How much of a loss is this for the energy industry?
Interestingly, so the Trump administration has opened up really all of the offshore of the continental United States, particularly the East Coast. There are some potential rich fields in the area between Key West and Cuba that have long been eyed by the oil industry. So they were potentially in play. So I think that was a particularly sensitive issue. Look, in Florida, they got other issues with red tide and stuff like that. So I don't think they wanted to see a black gold tide coming their way after all the red tide they've been experiencing.
John, it strikes me to the point that Eamon made earlier about gridlock that the most significant actions that this administration has taken on energy are regulatory rather than legislative. And that I see no reason that will not continue. Yes, Democrats may attempt to block regulations, but I'm not sure that they're going to be successful in that. And of course, the Republican Senate, stronger majority, is going to stand with him.
No doubt, John. Most of the power here as it goes to the oil and gas industry, the exploration and production, the exports, which are a huge agenda item for the Trump administration, especially as it relates to trade, where natural gas is probably one of the aces in the hole for the United States, is controlled by the executive branch. My only idea or guess is that the Democrats will try to make hay on the issue in terms of lax regulation as it relates to emissions that come out of the fracking. Also, too, some of the issues that may hit consumers. We've seen a decent spike higher in natural gas prices, for example, over the weekend because all the exports of natural gas that have been occurring already this year via ship, via pipeline to Canada and Mexico have produced a deficit in supplies versus last year in the 5-year average. That's going to make supplies tight this year. If we get a big spike higher in natural gas prices, potentially a doubling of price, maybe more, the Democrats may use that as an issue against the administration to say, let's put the brakes on some of this stuff.